Mike, thank you. From a pig to a peacock, we have shown you the exotic pets people have tried to take on airplanes. And tonight, disability advocates say the problem is only getting worse, with pet owners abusing laws meant to protect people with actual disabilities.
Now, we should point out it is illegal in Colorado to misrepresent a pet as a service animal, but Chief Investigative Reporter Eric Ross found that's not stopping people, including doctors, from skirting the law. Eric in studio tonight.
Rob and Elizabeth, good evening. Instead of risking a fine for declaring your pet a service animal when in fact it's not, people instead are registering their pets as emotional support animals. This allows them to fly on airplanes in the cabin with you and live in places with no pet policies. Mental health professionals are supposed to evaluate patients before declaring them in need of an emotional support animal. But our investigation found one doctor bypassing that process.
We've heard the stories of people taking their parakeet onto the airplane and dogs that are not trained.
Pat Going sits on the Colorado Advisory Council for Persons with Disabilities. He says there's a lot of confusion surrounding the difference between emotional support animals, service animals, and the people who misrepresent them.
And so because of that, we decided that we're going to do an open house to talk about both, under the umbrella of assistance animals.
Mr. Going, along with advocacy manager Becca Michael, are working hard to educate the community on how to handle encounters with people and their pets.
A service dog is a dog that is trained to perform a specific task.
Attaboy.
For example, Councilwoman Yolanda Avila's guide dog named Puma.
I would like to have my eyes back and not have a dog, but we, people with disabilities, we really need these dogs to make life more accessible and mobile for us.
Service dogs go through extensive training and commonly help people who are blind or have some medical condition. However, there is no formal training for emotional support animals.
There's no official way to certify those animals. So there's a great deal of confusion and unfortunately a great deal of abuse.
True service animals are allowed to go wherever its owner goes, but when it comes to emotional support animals, federal law only protects your right to live and fly with them. Emotional support animals do not have to be granted access inside businesses, but most people don't know that.
If you're looking at an animal that is not a dog or a miniature horse, then that should be your first identifier, that is not a service animal.
We've been trying for several years to get Department of Justice to formalize some sort of certification program so that the abuse would be minimized.
Emotional support animals have become increasingly controversial. For example, a kangaroo someone tried to bring into a McDonald's, the unruly pig that got kicked off a U.S. Airways flight, or the turkey that got a seat on Delta Airlines. Complaints against emotional support animals on airplanes alone has skyrocketed in recent years, from just 432 complaints in 2010 to more than 2,400 in 2016.
I've noticed, like, in the last couple of years, it's gotten really bad. Like, I just went to a luncheon and somebody had their dog in there, and that dog just saw Puma and started yapping away. And so it disrupted everything.
Not just anyone can claim their pet as an emotional support animal. The process requires a doctor's note from a licensed mental health professional. But we found a website and licensed doctor in Colorado willing to write us this support animal authorization letter for $150. Using one of our station employees, we filled out a quick questionnaire on whether an emotional support animal would help with daily activities. We submitted the application at 9:28 on a Saturday night. 7 minutes later, at 9:35, we got this signed letter from Dr. Michael J. Moss. He says he evaluated our engineer's mental health condition and is familiar with her history and with the functional limitations imposed by her emotional and mental health issue. Of course, she has no mental health issue, but we had no issue getting a doctor to say so and prescribe her one emotional support pig. Armed with her letter and with the help of a potbelly pig owner,
Portia is a 3-year-old, a potbelly mini pig.
We hit the streets to see if anyone would question our emotional support pig. Our first stop, Starbucks.
You got it. Come on.
Portia, who we renamed Marilyn for this experiment, is a little shy at first and isn't quite sure about going inside. But that doesn't stop Starbucks employees from running to the door.
Come on, Marilyn.
Not to kick the pig out, but to pet it and even take pictures.
Thank you guys. You guys are so polite.
Even patrons couldn't believe what was happening. We got Marilyn in and out of Starbucks, no problem. Next stop, Come and Go. Our employee takes Marilyn up and down the aisles, and nobody says a word. When our employee goes to check out at the counter, neither employee does anything. After a lot of walking, Marilyn is hungry for a turkey bacon sandwich, so we stop at Subway. Marilyn stands quietly as everyone sits down and eats.
She's fantastic. She really is.
Of course, she doesn't go unrecognized by customers. What was the most surprising aspect out of this entire experiment?
No one stopped us. It was the weirdest thing. Everyone was incredibly friendly, outgoing, excited to see us, held doors for us. No one questioned bringing a pig inside a Subway or a Starbucks.
You had to see the looks on people's faces. What were their reactions when they saw you walk in with a pig?
A lot of wide eyes, a lot of laughing, and a lot of, oh my gosh, excited voices.
But the real test would be when we tried to take Marilyn to the movies.
17, 18, 19, 20, 30, and 50.
Employees let Marilyn, her owner, and our employee walk right into the theater to see the movie Little. Not a single person requested to see our emotional support letter, but it's encounters like this that Councilwoman Avila says can ruin it for people with actual disabilities.
Sometimes when I go to a restaurant, they're not really sure anymore. They're not sure if that dog should be in there. They'll tell me, you can stay on the patio, or, we just don't allow dogs in here. And I have to explain what the situation is.
And if you're uncertain whether someone's pet is truly a service animal, there are 2 questions disability advocates say you can ask.
Question number 1, is this a service dog? Question number 2, what is it trained to do?
Online at KOAA.com, we have a detailed side-by-side comparison outlining more of the key differences between emotional support animals and service animals, as well as what you can legally ask and what you can't ask someone. Now, Rob and Elizabeth, disability advocates have been calling on the Department of Justice to do something now for years, and until something happens, unfortunately, advocates say the abuse is going to continue.
So what about the doctor that prescribed the potbelly pig for our coworker? She obviously had no disability. Any disciplinary action here?
Interesting point, Rob. As of late this afternoon, we heard back from a spokesperson with the state of Colorado. We're told the Colorado Board of Psychologist Examiners has just opened an investigation based on the information we provided them with. We'll let our viewers know what happens.
Great work once again, Eric. Thank you.